So Rangers 2, Servette 1, a win, a better showing than our first run out against Kelly at the weekend, but honestly, no the result we should have got after the chances that we gave up and the fact that they were down to 10 men for a chunk of the second half.
I think if we go back to take the game for the very first whistle, I think we came out the gates quick. We were quick, we were intense. We looked like we didn't look like we lacked desire. It was a complete opposite for the Kilmarnock game. And I thought Cantwell, you could instantly see his impact. He was having a great game. His link-up play was brilliant. His desire was brilliant. It was all the park. He was throwing himself into tackles. I thought he played outstanding for the first whistle at the last.
Look, Cantwell's off-the-ball work is just as important as his creativity and his energetic spark when he gets on the ball. See the fact that he's look, after all, it was Cantwell that won us the penalty, a ball that really wasn't his to win, but he goes, he uses a bit of tenacity, he gets there before the guy who doesn't see him coming in, and that happens often. That's when you're going to win a penalty. When the offensive player's just a bit quicker at reacting, the player slides in, penalty Rangers, turns the game in its head, I think, within the first 15 minutes.
Aye.
So he brings that, and that is definitely what we're missing against Kilmarnock.
Listen, I think it as well, I just like the change of bringing Jack in with Cantwell and Raskin. I think we created, obviously it wouldn't be hard to create more chances for the Kilmarnock game, but I think that balance in midfield was, I think Beale got it right this time. I think I wouldn't say the midfield and the front three have that click yet, but it was a lot better than what we saw at the Kilmarnock game.
It was much better. There was definitely glimpses of that, and what I liked early in the game is you've seen Danilo was willing to drop into that space, and I think, look, that is the sort of system that Beale is opting to play. He's opting to sacrifice width, although that's something I still have a problem with, because we're able to get our fullbacks so far up the park that honestly I don't think we're sacrificing width. I think we're just playing a different style of width than you go and look at the stats for the rest of the Europa League games that were on the night, right? You tell me another team who put as many balls into the box, good quality deliveries into the box as we did the night for Tavernier. Tavernier never had so many the night, but Barisic, who often gets criticised for his work up and down that wing, and I criticise him as well, I think rightfully so at times for his defensive work, but
I think the criticism of Barisic comes from how hot and cold he is. Even when at his strong point, which is his crosses, getting good balls into the box, there's times where he could go a couple of games where it's just hopeless ball after hopeless ball after hopeless ball, and for me that's where that criticism came from. But I thought in the day's game, one of the balls led to a goal. I think there was a couple of a miss hits, but I thought all in all Barisic had a no bad game in an attacking sense. And in terms of when you go to the point about width as well, something I did like was how Raskin was allowed to go out and join the wide fullbacks as well. I think he linked up really well, coming out across to Barisic, going out to Tav. We've seen a couple of good link-ups with Tav, fed it into Cantwell, and then Cantwell done his thing with it. I don't know.
And I think that's what the rotation brings, when you're rotating. So I think Ryan Jack stays more central, definitely, but he drops in as well, looks to link up with the fullbacks, but then Raskin and Cantwell, they're both young, energetic players, and they can run for days, so they're willing to go from side to side, box to box, and it really, really paid off for us tonight, especially early in the game. I don't think it's possible to keep that intensity up for the full 90 minutes, but that's why we've seen the reinforcements of Cifuentes, Sima, players like this coming on. And again, something that we lacked last season was strength and depth in the squad, and that looks to have been corrected this season, looking at who we can bring on off the bench. They never had a massive impact, but I think again, as players like Cifuentes and Sima get more bedded into the team, and are able to become impact players off the bench, which I think is a skill in itself. I think we'll see a big difference, especially it's something that we'll desperately need if we do make it. Well, we're guaranteed European football, so we'll all need strength and depth in the squad.
And what would you think on the front three's performance in that first half? Because me personally, I still, as I said on Twitter, or X, is there's still so much work to be done on how to get the three forward players combining and working well together, the link-up play, and in terms of being clinical in the final third, getting shots away and things like that as well. I just didn't see anything in terms of the front three. I like the fact that the midfield connected a bit more with the front three. There was a lot, they were getting fed a lot more, but I still kind of see that disjointed, clunky as soon as we approach the final third.
Aye, so the play in and around the final third has always been a problem for us, and I think that comes from maybe relying too much on Tavernier and Barisic to get the ball wide to them and sort of know when to operate in an offensive manner in that area of the pitch, which can be a bad area of the pitch to try and operate in. We've seen it at the weekend. Kilmarnock congested that area and it was impossible for us to play. But I think what I seen early in the game is that when we were doing one touch passing, and that makes such a difference because it doesn't let that team to get back settled into their shape. It allows a bit more space to form in that final third then for us. Because look, we've got Raskin, we've got Cantwell, and they can join up with the front three, so there is no reason that we can't. I think it's about the speed and the intensity at which you play it. That will dictate whether you are or are not allowed to play football in and around the box, in and around that final third. Like you say, we do still look a bit disjointed, but I don't know why, but the front three going forward, at least in the first, let's say, 45 to 60 minutes, made me feel a lot more optimistic about where we're going this season. I don't know if that's just because I'm a hopeless optimist or if it's just because we were that bad against Kilmarnock. It was easy to look great.
She completely reading your full front three. I don't think like other fans realise how difficult that is to play right off the bat. And well, with Sakala's now gone, Scott Wright's as good as away. Obviously Haji's no got his start, or no been starting a lot, or made his way back into the team. Morelos is away, Kent's gone. So it's a completely new front three, and it is extremely difficult to bed the front three in and have them gel as quick as possible, especially when they're a front three that's going to be playing more central and relying on that link-up play. It's going to take time for that. So the only thing that was left that we wanted to see over the Kilmarnock game was that wee bit of desire, because in the Kilmarnock game I seen a lot of, I wouldn't say giving up, but they were more, they were standing still a lot more. It's such a difficult
game for them, and I know I don't like to cut them slack in that regard, because we should be going to Rugby Park and we should definitely look better than we looked. Whether we get the win or no, we're the favourites obviously, but that's no guaranteed. We should look better than we looked. But here's one for you, right? Because I know people are going to be the same side as you in terms of the front three tonight, and maybe the attacking, the offensive creativity of the team, or the offensive clinicalness of the team. But what I would say is, see if we had a couple of really, really good chances, and I know this comes down to being clinical, but if we put two of the chances away and we come out 4-1, would you still have the same viewpoint on the front three? I
mean, it's a hard thing to kind of say or admit the now. I still think, even at a club like Rangers, we could be 4-1 up. See if you're still kind of disjointed. See if passes, slack passes are getting made, which a lot was made tonight. You're still going to get that frustration, because if you score 4 at Rangers, the fans want 5. You score 5, the fans want 6.
That is worrying.
Because
we get away with it against Servette tonight, but believe me, we'll not get away with giving the ball away so much in the final. And the thing about giving it away in the offensive final third is that Rangers play so high up the park, their centre backs play so high up the park that they're there for the taking and the counter attack every time. So against teams like PSV, or if we do get into the Champions League, you just don't get away with that. So I think I absolutely agree with your point in that we need to be more tidy in the ball in and around the final third. We need to want to keep the ball much more, and the passing accuracy in the final third needs to be better.
And also going to Cifuentes, because we got a glimpse of him tonight, and me personally, I thought he looked strong. I thought
looked a bit nervous when he first came on.
A bit nervous when he first came on, but he looked as if he had the desire to get in about it. Like because there was a couple of times he got possession back, we just bullying a player off the ball, and I think as well in the middle of the park, especially in Scottish football, you need that bit. Getting about it. Like,
a bit of dig. We've seen it early in the game as well. Somebody gave a wee shoulder barge into Cantwell, sent him actually outside of the park. Cantwell wasn't too happy, and this is what I like about Todd Cantwell. He's going to get up, brush it off, and then give the guy it back.
Exactly.
I feel like we've not seen that sort of thing for Rangers players in a while, and I don't know if that's because in modern football you can't breathe next to somebody, or it's a possible sending off. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But with regard to that side of the game, Cantwell I think lifts every other player in the park up, and again it's no wonder that everybody was moaning that he was benched at the weekend, because I think that could have ultimately honestly cost us the 3 points. And now we're not a one-man band, but I don't know, I think you've seen it for the first whistle of the night, mate. It gives us a lot. It gives us a fucking lot.
And I keep going back to Sima, because I know there's no the best opinions you know Sima, and I can see where people are coming from in terms of again, he seems a bit clunky. He often gets ball trapped under his feet there as well. He got a good ball to his chest, ended up chestnut on his hand, and then obviously turnover of possession. But to be honest, my opinion on him is he usually finds himself in a lot of the right places at the right time, which makes me think that when he does tighten up the control aspect of his game, does get the first touch right, I can see a player in there like further down the line in the season.
Absolutely. Look, I said it in one of my previous videos. I says, look at Raskin, okay? Look at Cantwell. These are two of our best players currently, I would say. Without a doubt. I can see a lot of... Raskin's good right now, but I can see a lot of potential in that boy. He's my sort of player. I love that player who's no scared to get the ball off the defence, turn, pick a pass. Cantwell as well. You're talking about playing in the final third. Cantwell is the player that everybody's looking for in the final third, because he's no scared to take it, drop a shoulder, and play what might not be an easy pass in the final third. You know. So I've trusted Beale with these two signings. Why wouldn't I trust him with the players he's just signed in that transfer window? You know what I mean?
And also taking the game as a whole at full time, obviously you could tell inside the stadium there was, you know, a win's a win, but you know, you still kind of felt that demand for more.
Absolutely. The crowd were unsettled throughout the game at periods, which...
I feel like after the sending off, regardless of who it's against, when you're playing, you've got to be capitalising on 10 men, and especially when you've got an away leg to go to, because I think now, I mean, we all know a one goal lead in football means absolutely
especially away
nothing.
in Europe. You're up against
away
it.
In Europe.
It'll be interesting to see though. This is football, you know what I mean? Because see if we go there next week, win and get through, this game's forgotten about. It won't matter whether we won 2-1 or won 7-1. As long as we get through, that is the main objective. I would say progress right now is the main objective, and that was certainly progress from Rugby Park on Saturday. But here's our last question before we wrap up, which I think will be quite interesting. And I know it's hard to say, we're early doors, but that is obviously a vitally important game. Do you think that team that was put out is Beale's strongest 11? Right
now, I believe so. I mean, because right now we still don't know what the likes of... Cifuentes can do, because obviously he's going to come in and disrupt. Like, he's one of our biggest signings. He's got to come in and disrupt the starting 11.
So, who is Cifuentes replacing in that team for you? For me, the only player that I can see him replacing, and that's going off of what I've seen in the sort of position that I imagine he would play, is going to be Ryan Jack. And Ryan Jack, for me, does the dirty work. He done it the night. He's maybe no doing the stuff that Cantwell is going forward, but to be honest, like,
that's the headache we want. But because it's a headache we've never had before. But so we'll end it here. If you want to go over to Twitter, continue the discussion down below. Twitter or X, We are at Blue Sea Podcast. You want to go over there, give us a follow. Also on this channel, if you want to subscribe, like the video, it'd help us out a lot.
Also, leave a comment, it's good for the algorithm, and we'll see you next time.